And we're always saying the Shema, which is the affirmation that there's one God. Yud He Vav He, that is beyond creation, before creation, and God that is within creation. We say God is one. There's no separation within God. It's a unity. God is one, and we are a part of that oneness. There's something that we say at the end of Yom Kippur services. We say Adonai Hu Elohim. Hashem, surrounding creation, Hu Elohim, God within creation, is one, is a unity. So we feel ourselves to be separate. We feel everything to be that there's duality, there's separation. There's good, there's evil. In the deepest level, we're saying God is one. Hashem Hu Elohim. It's all originating from this one source. And on Rosh Hashanah, we're coming before this one source. We're humbling ourselves. We're getting out of the way to accept the sovereignty of God. As the original source. And when we accept the sovereignty of God, God reflects that back to us. Hashem Hu Elohim. So I live in the world and I penetrate the appearances and see that God is within everyone and everything in reality. And when I see that oneness, forces of separating that see themselves as separate from God diminish. And we see it's all one. Eino Mubado. There's ultimately the only truth is God. So taking a few moments just to absorb that, to prepare yourself to coordinate God, Hashem Melech. God is the King. I accept that God is the source. And I see through illusions and accept that God is one. Not that there's one God, but God is a unity. And it's asked, doesn't the world make a difference to God? And the Alter Rebbe says, no. It's like the ray of light from the sun is no different than the sun. So let's purify our vision to see God in everything and everyone. So when you're ready, you can bring yourself back and we'll have a few moments to check in with each other. So are we back?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it was so rushed and maybe we can spend more time on this. And I apologize for the computer, but
Fine. It's okay.
it's God's doing. Does anybody would like to comment, share anything? Judith.
That was incredibly powerful, Mindy. I mean, I felt, is my sound off or on?
No, I'm hearing you.
I felt that my heart was just expanding and expanding.
Yeah, it is because your heart, as your heart is opening.
It felt true. It felt very true. It's hard sometimes to see that everything is God, especially when we deal with things that seem to us so evil.
Right. Right. And recognizing that, in Judaism, Satan, evil, is considered an angel of God. That evil has a mission to refine us.
Do what?
To make us, to purify us, to test us, to refine us, so that we, God created, in God's infinite wisdom, created a world of seemingly duality. And we can study this in the books, the Hebrew books really delve deeply into this understanding. How do we understand good and evil? How do we understand that righteous people suffer and wicked people prosper? All of these are very deep topics. But recognizing that God is the original source. God doesn't create itself. It has an existence. Ibn Battuta was not a Kabbalist. So the Kabbalists will say, on a certain level, Ein Sof did create itself. It created the Sphirot. And it created the Sphirot, which were divine emanations to interact with each other and with us. But God, Ein Sof, pre-existed time and space and creation. Our minds can't fathom this. But it's important that we know this, that God is different than being finite. And this is the God that we want to coordinate. I remember my teacher Shlomo saying, if you can understand God, he's not God. You don't want a God you can understand, because that's a projection of yourself. And that's where people have difficulties. They project their human qualities, their human understandings onto God, rather than allowing themselves to humble themselves, open their heart. And then they can be blessed with a revelation of the oneness, of the holiness of God. So anybody else want to say something before we end? Yes, Ruth.
So, well, I appreciated all you said today and last time. And I was the one who had the question in the beginning about, like I understand the thing about don't always petition God and God knows what we need. And so I can understand all this intellectually, but it just makes it hard for me to pray. It feels like, oh, I'm doing it wrong, and I just stop myself and I don't know how to connect. So,
I think the prayer book gives you a way to support yourself in really growing spiritually, which is what prayer is, to grow spiritually. It's fine to ask God. We're always asking God. But to know that you can go beyond a petitioner into having a more direct experience of divine oneness. In the prayer book, especially the Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur prayers are so gorgeous to help elevate your understanding of who and what God is. So it's fine to pray to be a petitioner, but to know that there's a level of depth of divine connection that is much beyond being a petitioner.
Linda,
As a
can I
petitioner,
interject
you're always
something?
going to be stuck being a petitioner. There's always going to be separation between you and God. God's the giver, you're the taker. You want to mature and go beyond that experience so that you can have a taste of what divine oneness is, a taste of what divine unity is, which is much more real and profound and more of what you're capable on a soul level to experience. As children, we're always going to be asking God like a super daddy. super mommy, help me, please help me. You know, we all do it. But we want to go beyond that because that's where our destiny is.
Can I interject something?
Yes.
I'm Betty. It's Betty Ann in Colorado. I have this this card on my desk, and it says, "Honor that which is meaningful." And when I think about God in terms of a concept of we're praying for to help us open up to see what is meaningful and how to live our lives with meaning. Like for me, I can relate, and I don't know. I just wanted to interject that because it's that to me that's what it's about. How do we live a meaningful life? And yes, we can try to see how we can know God, whatever concepts we have in our baggage, right? And this is all new to probably most of us. I've never heard any of this before, but I'm 65 years old, and I accept everything you're saying. I don't question any of it. I don't know where it's going to go, but the first thing that's coming to me that's rising in me is meaningful. I think God is sort of guiding us, or we have to figure out how are we being guided. It's an interchange, but it's about living a meaningful life. Me.
And of course, but I think the opportunity that we're presented on the holiday is even greater than that.
Okay.
You will automatically live a meaningful life to the extent that you make a divine connection. Or even without, you have a sense of what you could do, what's right, what's bad. We want to do good. We want to do good. But I just encourage you through the meditation and, to just allow God yourself to connect more deeply and let God's wisdom and love flow through you rather than figuring out your life. And you'll be guided and directed in ways that will deepen your connection. And that's ultimately what we want. We want to be in this world. And he says something also here. He says, if you want to know God's unity, he says, you have to be able to let go of your worldly pursuits. He says something there, I was reading. And we want to know God's unity, not just in our thought and our speech, not because our tradition tells us that God is one. No, we want to have that experience of God's unity. And through learning and prayer, we will come closer. And I find that meditation is really the most direct way to experience God's presence, to experience God's unity. Anyway, it's a lot. It's many chapters in the book devoted to helping us to deepen this understanding of what and who God is. And it's fine to pray the way that you used to pray, if that's meaningful for you. But I think if you follow the prayer book, you'll be guided higher to go beyond the petitioner, to go become the lover, to experience a taste of what God's unity is. And we will continue. Anybody else want to say something before? Anyway, I'm wishing everybody meaningful holidays, moments where you have that divine revelation. Sometimes we can't even hold on to the revelations of God too long. I mean, so many times I can have this, like I could have this revelation of God, and it's so deep and profound. It's hard, it's hard to receive it. We want to strengthen our vessels so that we can receive the intensity of the highest frequencies of coming close to the experience of oneness with God. So I bless everybody. I'm going to miss everybody. And with all these holidays, I hope you'll, have many moments of joy and ecstasy. And we'll be back. And if I can, we'll squeeze something in between before the Hagim are over. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tova.